Well, it's one of the most famous taglines in all of advertising, but the workers are fighting for a voice right now. We're talking, of course, about Verizon, which brings us to our slides today. Can you hear me now? First up, we're going to take a look at some facts about Verizon. Now, they are one of the top 3 capital investors in all of corporate America. From the period of 2013 to 2015, they raked in some $39 billion, that's billion with a B, in corporate earnings. This year, they've set a pace with about $5.4 billion in profits so far. Now, from the period of 2010 through 2015, executives at that company made more than $249 million in their take-home compensation. And since 2005, the percentage of employees in the union has dropped from nearly 70% to 30%. We're going to look right now at strikes in the broader sense. Now, from April 13th, almost 40,000 Verizon workers from Massachusetts down to Virginia, including right here on Flatbush Avenue, a block away from here, walked off the job. It was in response to contract benefit negotiations and changes, actually, that included outsourcing of some jobs, lengthy job transfers, as well as health care and pension cuts for workers that are existing at Verizon already. Now, most of the members who are striking now are members of the Communications Workers of America, the CWA, and there's also a large contingent from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, that's the IBEW. So that's a little primer to get you up to date on maybe some of the headlines you've been hearing about Verizon and their current strike. So, can you hear me now? Let's get into the A block.
Nearly 40,000 Verizon customer service reps, network technicians, repairmen, and other skilled workers walked off their jobs on April 13th after the telecom giant failed to reach an agreement with them on a new contract. Most of the strikers are affiliated with the CWA, the Communication Workers for America, and the IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electric Workers. The contracts have been a bone of contention since last June, with many of the strikers accusing Verizon of intentionally getting rid of union jobs as part of an even larger economic battle, the latest example of an ongoing national struggle over the power of unions. Joining us now is Tony Spina, who is the CWA Local 1109 President, and welcome to BK Live.
Thank you. How you doing, guys?
Tony. So we've gone by, we've heard the beeping on the street, we've seen the red shirts. What are your issues?
Well, there's, excuse me, there's multiple issues. I mean, we sat down with Verizon in June to try and get a contract, and they came with a ton of retrogressive demands at the table. So we made a decision on August 1st not to go out on strike and try to work these issues out at the table. Verizon seems bent on cutting costs. They seem bent on taking away things that we have in our contract already and just lowering the union density, basically. They want to get people off the payroll, and then they want to give our work to contractors and outsource jobs. And that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting to stop that. There's no reason for it. We feel Verizon, in both unions, CWA and IBEW, we feel that Verizon has a workforce, has a very good workforce, and they should be using them.
Okay. Now, I was looking at the statistics as Brian was reading them, and it said since 2005, the percentage of employees in the union has gone from 70% to 30%. Why exactly do you think that is?
Well, flat out, Verizon doesn't hire. You know what I mean? So as people leave the payroll through retirement, they just want to outsource the jobs. They just want to give the work to contractors rather than hire, right here.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be a big problem because they have work. I mean, yeah, there's technology that lowers some of the work, but a small portion. The issue is, we want the jobs. The jobs should be here, and they shouldn't be given to contractors, and especially overseas.
So speaking of those jobs, you mentioned technology, and in the days of old, when somebody goes on strike, somebody sneezes and the whole city gets a cold. With the transit people or even the garbage, the sanitation, everyone suffers. But the phones are still working,
Right.
people are still watching Game of Thrones. So how do you really inject to make people realize you need them on your side?
Well, it's tough, and that's why we're out there.
Yeah.
You know, we're out there on the street picketing every day, and you know, there's still a 39,000 member workforce
Yeah.
that's working every day. So there is a lot of work to be done on a daily basis. You know, technology or no technology, whether we're fixing the old copper lines or installing new FiOS lines, you know, which is a state-of-the-art network that they have, and you know, and they also need repairs too. So even that new technology comes with repairs, where we have a workforce that still has to go out and fix things.
Okay. Now, I have to ask, what would it take, well, not what would it take, what would a win for the union look like in your eyes?
Well, respect us on the job, okay? The work conditions, they have gone to bullying and harassment tactics, you know, before the contract expired, just on a daily basis with the workers, just trying to push and push and push. I mean, they're a very greedy company, you know, and they want a bang for their buck, and you know, I get that in a sense, and the people are out there working. I mean, we have technicians that work in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
We have technicians that, and when I say work, they're climbing poles, they're climbing ladders, and you know, in the rain, in the weather conditions, and then we got the heat of the summer. You know, sometimes there's you know, 100 degrees, and the humidity is up to 100%, where it's hard to even stand still, let alone do manual labor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're out there working. They have a well-trained workforce, and they got to treat us with respect. They got to stop with the concessions. This company is, as you guys put up before, this company is making more money than they've ever made. When we started at the bargaining table, they were making $1.5 billion a month in profit after paying everybody and whatever else they do. This was pure profits.
Right.
So now we got into this year, and that 1.5 went to 1.8 in the first quarter of 2016. So they're making a ton of money, and they still want to take us backwards. I mean, the biggest problem I see is, you know, when all of this started, you know, unions, workers, whatever you want to call it, back in the 60s and 70s, these CEOs would make 4 or 5 times the amount of an employee. Today, today it's 200 to 400 times the amount of the average employee. It's a problem.
So if they're making this much money monthly after paying the bills, this is like we get to store this away or invest it somewhere else. How do you go up against somebody like that? How do you win when they're breaking in that much cash and you guys have the power of saying we're not working anymore?
Well, that's part of our power. You know, we're picketing, we're withholding our labor, which is something that's been done in the past and still needs to be done. You know, we need to withhold our labor, and we need to make the public know, you know, what Verizon is doing, because this is not just a Verizon issue. I mean, we're standing up and we're in a fight right now. Yeah. But this is an issue for all of America, all corporate America, and all the middle class workers. You know, if we just keep letting these CEOs and executives get away with this, where are we going to be? You know, so we have to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And this is our line in the sand.
You've got some friends in high places.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about the support that you feel that you've received on a local level and on a national level?
Okay. So I think the support on a local level has been tremendous. We're out at these wireless stores. We're out in the public. I mean, you guys hear the horns blowing when they go by, and the people coming up to the picket lines and just saying, we support you, we support what you're doing. And you know, I'm seeing this, like we had a two-week strike in 2011 and one in 2000, and I'm seeing more public on our side than ever before. You know, the media has been great, and we see support. You know, we see more support than ever, and it's probably because of the national attention. You know, we're getting a lot of national attention. I mean, we have president candidate out there, you know, talking about the middle class, talking about the corporate greed, and collectively, workers in America have to put a stop to this.
So this really is a battle about the future of working in America. If you look at it from the top down, whether we're going to have unions and that collective bargaining strength, or whether we're going to be corporate and essentially every person for themselves, Do you and the guys and the women and the workers on the line feel that right now, that you're fighting for something larger than just what's happening with you and Verizon?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they feel it. Of course, we're out for ourselves, and we want to win a fair contract. We know the work that we do, we know what we deserve, and we know the respect and dignity that we need to have on the job working for this company, and they need to share some of those profits. And I just want to make a point that we're not asking for much. I don't know, they keep putting these ads in the paper and the public and saying that the union is pushing and the union is greedy. In June, they had for about a year now $200 million a year in savings at the bargaining table. And it's still to today. That's not enough for them. They want more, and they want more. Whether it's work rules, whether it's more money. I mean, the battle with healthcare, we know the healthcare battle is tough in this country. I mean, it's going on everywhere. And the union is willing to negotiate with them on the healthcare costs. We're willing. But they're not willing to address our issues. They're not willing to address our wages. They're not willing.
We just heard some of those, and we are completely out of time. But I just wanted one last yes/no question. Do you think that you guys want to be regulated like a utility at Verizon? Is that a goal of, or could that end this thing if the government did step in and say, like a utility?
When we were regulated, the government put more control on what Verizon needed to do.
Yeah.
For the public. We had the Verizon franchise agreement in New York City where they were supposed to have it complete by year 2014, and they didn't get that done. Maybe with regulation, maybe there would be more government, like the PSC back in the day. The PSC used to hold Verizon, 9X, Bell Atlantic accountable to the public with a 24-hour commitment and stuff like that, and that's just not the case. That's just not the case anymore. No. So
thank you for joining us. We'll definitely keep watching.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you.